Welcome to OOTO TV, the out-of-the-office investigation from the past into the future of health. This time we're discussing targeting parasites and bacteria using electromagnetic fields and sound waves.
Welcome. Yes, today we're really getting into a fascinating and I think crucial area, exploring how things like electromagnetic fields and sound waves might be used to, well, target and eliminate parasites and bacteria.
It's definitely cutting-edge stuff we're looking at. We'll explore some really interesting concepts, maybe some surprising findings too.
We will. We'll look at, the fundamental ways sound can influence our bodies, how specific electromagnetic frequencies could maybe tackle these unwelcome invaders, and really importantly, why a holistic health approach is just vital when you're thinking about these methods.
And it's absolutely critical for you to know right up front that targeting parasites and bacteria using electromagnetic fields and sound waves significantly impacts your health. Seriously, it does.
That's right. And choosing this specific type of electromagnetic fields and sound waves is also critical. These ideas, they really could revolutionize how we think about well-being.
Okay, so let's start with the world of sound and vibration. It's kind of intriguing, isn't it? Have you ever really stopped to think how deeply sound can influence matter and, by extension, our own bodies?
It's a great place to begin. The field of cymatics demonstrates this so vividly. It's the study of visible sound and vibration. Hans Jenny named it from the Greek kuma, meaning wave or billow.
Right, cymatics. It shows how sound actually influences molecular structure. You can literally see it.
You can. And imagine this. Water. It's a fantastic conductor for sound. So when we see cymatics experiments where sound rearranges particles in water, making these incredible coherent patterns.
You have to wonder, how does that apply to us, since our bodies are, mostly water?
Exactly. It suggests sound could potentially influence our inner workings too, maybe bringing coherence. And research does suggest benefits beyond just the physical.
Oh, really? Like what?
Well, impacting mental and emotional well-being quite significantly. Specific sound frequencies seem to reduce stress and anxiety. They promote relaxation, mental clarity.
How does that work?
It looks like it can lower cortisol levels, that's a key stress hormone, and even increase blood flow. And that might help alleviate symptoms of anxiety, maybe even depression.
Wow. So actual physiological changes.
Yes. And it might even go further, potentially improving sleep quality, increasing energy levels. It all contributes to overall mental health. It makes you think about that quote from Peter Guy Manners, the biomedical scientist.
When was that?
He said, "Everything owes its existence solely and completely to sound." Quite a statement, right? But it really sets the stage for thinking about how physical energy, like sound, interacts with our biology.
It really does. It's a fundamental concept.
You're listening to OOTO TV with research by author Paul Buelow.
Okay, so that's sound waves. Now let's pivot a bit. Let's talk about electromagnetic fields and this really fascinating idea of directly zapping unwanted pathogens.
Right. This is where people like Dr. Hulda Clark come in.
Yeah.
She made some pretty groundbreaking claims, didn't she, using electronic methods to scan the body and then selectively electrocute pathogens.
Yeah, her claims were huge. She believed her technique could find viruses, bacteria, fungi, parasites, even solvents and toxins. And she claimed it was simple, cheap, fast, and infallible for detection.
Infallible is a big word. But her work included identifying specific resonant frequencies for these pathogens. Like an adult fluke, she said, resonates around 434,000 hertz.
So the idea is you hit the pathogen with its own specific frequency.
And that resonance, that vibration, could disable or destroy it. Almost like shattering a glass with sound, but on a microscopic level.
It's a powerful concept, and we can definitely state that targeting parasites and bacteria using electromagnetic fields and sound waves result in significant impact on parasites and bacteria.
Absolutely. And potentially these methods could exponentially leverage mental and physical health if they work as proposed.
Now, is there any sort of mainstream science that backs up any part of this?
Well, yes, in principle at least. There's research, for instance, published in Frontiers in Cellular and Infection Microbiology. It detailed how microwaves, specifically, can kill malaria parasites, and importantly, non-thermally. It wasn't just cooking them.
Non-thermally. So how did it work then?
The experiments showed actual molecular damage. Things like reactive oxygen species, ROS production, that's a sign of cellular stress. Also lipid peroxidation, caspase-like activity.
Okay, so signs of damage to the parasite structure.
Exactly. And DNA fragmentation, changes in the mitochondrial membrane potential, basically, messing with the parasite's energy production and genetic material. This was observed in P. falciparum infected red blood cells.
And they use specific settings?
They did. a 2.45 gigahertz frequency, pulsed power, 20-25% duty cycle, peak power of 12 watts. So it provides a scientific basis for how electromagnetic fields can impact parasites. It shows specificity as possible.
Okay, that's really interesting, but we need a bit of balance here, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's vital to bring in a note of caution. You have reputable organizations like the American Cancer Society, for example. They classify devices like Rife machines, which use low-energy electromagnetic frequencies, as unproven or disproven treatment methods.
Right. And they emphasize there's no solid scientific evidence these machines cure diseases like cancer.
Correct. And crucially, they warn that delaying proven medical treatments to try unproven methods can be really harmful to your health. That's a critical point.
And didn't some of the early work with these zapper-type devices run into issues too?
Yes, there were observations, even during development. Sometimes the zapping only gave partial or temporary improvement, or it might even trigger something like a cold.
Why was that thought to happen?
The theory was that electricity tends to travel on the surface of things, so organisms hiding inside parasites, or parasites hiding inside our own cells, might be shielded. They wouldn't get the full effect from just one treatment.
Ah, okay. So it suggests maybe needing multiple treatments or perhaps some more comprehensive strategy overall?
Precisely. It points towards complexity. And for those who are, technically minded and curious, some sources even give details on building a simple pulsar device.
Like a DIY version.
Sort of. Using basic components like a 555 timer chip, resistors, capacitors, copper pipe for handholds, it just demonstrates the basic electronic principles behind generating these kinds of frequencies.
Interesting. You're listening to OOTO-TV with research by author Paul Bulow.
So while this potential of electromagnetic fields and sound waves is really exciting, it's absolutely crucial to understand something fundamental.
What's that?
Targeting parasites and bacteria using electromagnetic fields and sound waves require that you manage your EMF application specifically for your needs to both target and kill parasites and bacteria. It's not one size fits all.
Okay, so it needs to be personalized.
Very much so. And maybe even more broadly, it really requires you to have a health plan, a proper diet, a solid daily eating and sleep routine. Basically, a whole process to get the detoxification results you want for your health. You can't just zap and hope for the best,
That makes sense. It brings us back to a more holistic view.
Exactly. And this connects to a core belief found in the sources that fundamentally all illness might stem from just two things: parasites and pollutants.
That's a bold statement. Parasites and pollutants.
It is. But the sources list a huge array of parasites: intestinal flukes, tapeworms, bacteria like staph or shigella, and they link these to conditions ranging from arthritis and diabetes to asthma, heart issues, even things like MS and depression.
And pollutants, too.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Heavy metals, mercury, lead, cadmium, nickel, solvents like benzene, xylene, food molds, aflatoxin, ergot, even things like fiberglass, chlorine from pools. The list is long.
And the idea is these accumulate.
They accumulate in organs, they lower your immunity, and they create this internal environment where parasites can just thrive, and illness gets a foothold. It's like a double whammy.
So if that's the problem, what's the proposed solution?
Well, the sources strongly advocate for comprehensive cleanups. Things like kidney cleanses to dissolve crystals, remove heavy metals, liver cleanses to flush out gallstones, clear bile ducts.
And dental cleanups, too, you mentioned.
Yes, removing metal fillings, dealing with hidden bacterial infections in the jawbone called cavitations. It's about systematically reducing that toxic burden.
And it extends beyond cleanses, right, into daily life.
Absolutely. Avoiding polluted products, certain cosmetics, cleaning supplies, maybe even disposable diapers mentioned in some sources. Diet plays a massive role.
How so?
Recommendations like sterilizing dairy by boiling it, avoiding bottled water because of potential solvent traces, being really careful checking food for molds. It's about conscious choices every day.
It sounds like a lot of effort.
It is, but the underlying message is actually quite empowering. It's that our bodies have this incredible innate ability to heal.
But only if we lift the burden.
Exactly. If we remove the constant pressure from parasites and pollutants, it's about creating that clean internal environment where your immune system can actually do its job properly and win the fight.
So let's try and synthesize all this. We've covered quite a bit in this exploration of targeting parasites and bacteria with electromagnetic fields and sound waves.
We really have. We started with sound and vibration, cymatics, showing how sound can influence molecular structure. That potentially impacts our physical, mental, and emotional well-being. It sets a foundation, doesn't it?
It does. Then we moved into the more direct idea of using electromagnetic fields. We talked about the controversial zapper concepts from Hulda Clark.
Claiming to target pathogens with specific frequencies. And we contrasted that with actual scientific studies, like the one showing microwaves killing malaria parasites non-thermally, demonstrating molecular damage.
So it's clear these energy-based approaches, they represent a really innovative frontier in health. The potential is fascinating.
Incredibly compelling possibilities, yes. But as we stressed, you have to approach it with a discerning eye. We need to acknowledge the potential, but also insist on rigorous, evidence-based validation, especially for you, the listener, thinking about applying any of this. Safety and proof are paramount.
And maybe the biggest takeaway, the most significant point for you listening.
Is that regardless of the technology, whether it's sound, EMF, or something else, our overall health is deeply, profoundly impacted by that interplay of parasites and pollutants.
Right. So true, lasting wellness really seems to hinge on a holistic approach, cleansing the body, managing exposure to toxins, supporting the body's natural healing.
It's about building that strong foundation. If you do that, maybe these energy therapies could be a useful adjunct, but the foundation has to be there. Remember that dual attack, parasites and pollutants.
And the multifaceted defense, cleansing, careful diet, mindful living, you have to empower your body.
So we'll leave you with a final thought to ponder, a provocative one perhaps.
Go on.
What if truly understanding these subtle energies, these frequencies that seem to govern our biology? What if that's the key? Not just for treating illness, but maybe for unlocking, unprecedented levels of human vitality, longevity?
A future where we thrive in ways we're only just starting to grasp. That's definitely something to think about.